Welcome back to another edition of Components Breakdown. Today we're going to look at the two-player deduction game called Martinique. Martinique takes about 30 minutes to complete. Its basic gameplay mechanics revolve around area movement, point-to-point movement, and set collection. In Martinique, each of the players is going to take on the role of a group of pirates trying to uncover the lost treasure on the Isle of Martinique. So let's go ahead and open the box and take a look inside. Inside the box we're going to find 3 rule books for 3 different languages. The English rule book is 12 pages, very short, very easy to understand rules. This game is definitely for a younger audience, although it can be enjoyed by a little more experienced gamer. There is a fold-out map which includes the Isle or map of Martinique. There is a cloth bag with 96 tiles which include all the different treasures you will find on the Isle. There are pirate markers and scoring markers for each of the 2 different colors. There are joker tiles and map tiles for the locations of the lost treasures on Martinique. And also included here is the mini expansion that can be acquired at Essen 2010 with additional tiles for the game and explanations in a couple different languages. So let's go ahead and set up a game and explain the rules. Now in Martinique, the 2 players are going to be competing with one another in order to discover or uncover the location of the lost treasure somewhere on the Isle. In order to do so, players will be moving around their pirates, of which each player has 4, trying to determine which map locations the treasure is not. So through simple deduction, players will have a better understanding at the end of the game where the lost treasure could be located. Now the game is broken into 2 different phases. There is a sunrise and a sunset phase, very similar to games like Downfall of Pompeii, where the first part of the game is vastly different from the second part. So in the sunrise phase, players will be moving around their pirates trying to determine locations and collect set pieces for game end scoring. In the sunset phase, the players will be placing their pirates back onto the board in order to try to find out the single location where the lost treasure may be. If the lost treasure is not uncovered, then it goes into a scoring set piece at the end. So let's go ahead and explain the board briefly. At the start of the game, each player is going to start off with 4 of their pirates. There's black and red, and then a scoring marker, which is a smaller depicted one for each side, placed on the 0 spot on the game board. The map is in the center of the board, and it has coordinates that go around it. So you see A through H and 1 through 8 on both sides. These just depict where the treasure may be located. Also on the board, there's map locations where the starting maps will be placed, as well as 2 maps placed in here, which is the hook bar, which is dead center of the Isle. And there are holds for each player. This is where their treasure stacks will be placed. The lost treasure will be placed here. And there are 3 small treasures that are included in the game. This will be collected as the game progresses. And the last place on the game board is the bar itself with all the stools. So let's go ahead and set up a 2-player game and show you how it plays. Now I've gone ahead and set up the board, and let me explain what I've done. As you notice around the board, as I previously mentioned, there is a lettering and a numbering system that is used, A through H and 1 through 8. For each of these numbers and letters, there is only one of these map tiles that is used in the game. Now on the back side of each of these map tiles, there is one of these numbers or one of these letters. These are all mixed up, and 2 of them are randomly picked from the letter and from the number to act as the lost treasure. The rest of them are mixed together and are placed on all of the map spots on the board. You will have 2 left over, which are placed in Hook's bar in the center along with the 3 joker tiles. And then the rest of the board is filled out with various different valued treasures throughout the map. Also, treasures are located here, here, and here in denominations of 2, 3, and 4. These are the small treasures that can be collected. Now on a player's turn, they get to do 1 of 2 actions. They can either place a new pirate onto the edge or the beach of the board, or they can move one of their pirates an allotted number of spaces. Now they can't start moving it until they have 3 of their pirates already placed onto the board. So black player always starts first, and let's go ahead and show you how a typical turn will work. On his turn, he will place 1 on the board, and then red will place 1 of his on the board. And you go back and forth until 3 of those people are placed on the board as such. When that is done, the black player can then place a 4th player, or he can start moving his other 3 pawns. When you move the allotted number of spaces on that tile. So to move off the map space, you could move 1 space in any direction orthogonally, so vertically or horizontally. So if you move here, you move 1 space and you collect whatever tile is underneath you that you moved from. If it is a map tile, you can look at it and deduce that the map treasure or the lost treasure is not at that location. You simply put it face down on your side. If you move from a location that has a different kind of icon, you move again in any location you wish, denoting the number that you can move, and then you place that face up on your location. At the end of your turn, you check a couple different things. If you have enough of these tiles to match one of these lost treasures down here, you can expend all of these, throw them away, and then collect whatever treasures you have. So if you have a skull and a parrot, you can expend both of them. Just throw them over to a discard and then collect both of these and put them face down in your hold as a stack. And you want to keep these in a stack for game-ending purposes because there are some tie-breaking rules. Now, you can lose your pirates to the bar in a couple different ways. If you ever end your turn in a space where there is no tile, you simply put your black marker on the closest space to the left. And that person is out of the game until all 8 of the pirates are in the bar. There's some strategies in here as well. If you move your black person or your red pawn or your black pawn through any of your opponent's places, and mind you, you can never stop on another player's pawn, you get to reveal one of their map tiles. You don't take it from them, you simply flip it up so both you and he know what that tile is. If you ever end your space in the hook bar, you can take either a joker tile, which acts as any of these colored valuables on the game board, or you can take one of the map tiles, and then your pawn is placed into one of the stools in the bar. So what you'll be doing is you'll keep collecting tiles, trying to discover any map tiles that your opponent may have discovered, and trying to collect as many of these set pieces before all of your pirates go into the bar. Now there's some strategies for trying to get your people in the bar earlier so you can be the first player to put many of your pawns onto the board, but that's another strategy that the opponent may wish to avoid seeing you do that. They may just try to collect a lot of treasures. So how does the game end? Once all 8 of the pirates are into the bar stools, they'll go into the sunset phase of the game. And there's 2 winning conditions for the game. Depending upon where your people went into the bar is when you can decide, as such, where the final treasure will be. And each of the players in turn will simply look at their tiles, decide where the treasure is not, and try to deduce by what they've collected where the treasure, the final treasure, or the lost treasure may be. And they simply go in turn placing their people across the board in locations that no one else is, so it has to be an empty location. Once that is done, you will flip over the 2 lost treasures, see if anybody picked C3, which no one did. So then the second part of the game ending will occur. So if no one won at that point, you will start collecting up or counting up the amount of treasures that players have in their hold. And you simply look at the numbers and you add them together. Now there's some scoring systems that are used. So if you have the most stacks, or if you have combinations of like double skulls, you will get some points, some extra points. But at that point, it's just a numerical addition to see who has the most treasures would win the game. So it's a very simple game to learn. There's not a whole lot of strategy to it. There's a lot of luck, especially in guessing the lost treasure. It's not typically a game that I'm going to play a whole lot of. It's definitely a game that I believe would be really good introductory game for people that are not gamers or trying to introduce board gaming to new crowds, where you're not going to get the typical Monopolies and Yahtzees and stuff. It's one of those games that I would definitely add as a gateway game for people that aren't familiar with some of the better deduction games out there. Aesthetically speaking, it's a nice looking game. All the components are well made, the wooden tokens are well made, the cardboard components are well made, and of course the game board is really well designed. It's just not a very deep, very strategic game, not something that I'm going to come back and play a lot of. If you're looking for some deeper strategy games for 2 players, there's a lot of them out in the market. But if you're looking for something that's light, quick to play, and something that would be a really good gateway game for younger crowds or people that have never been introduced to board games, I would definitely give Martinique a shot. It's got some good production values to it, and it's very easy to learn and extremely easy to teach. So, thanks again for watching.